Somebody to love. Sustaining a pitch can go one of two ways: good or very, very bad. The keys to sustaining a note that feels beautiful, that feels free, and also sounds beautiful and free are breathing, vowels, and a combo of the two. And the combo of the two is actually really important. I spent years working on vowels with my teachers, and I just never felt like I could sing consistently, and my frustrations really mounted. It was actually a period of time of about a year where I literally thought to give up on singing. And then a friend of mine recommended an Alexander teacher. He said, you got to give it a shot. You've been doing this for 10 years. Try this woman. And I did. And she focused entirely on breath. After 2 years of working on every single detail about breath, using a lot of the same exercises, I went from a singer that no one would hire to a singer that got unsolicited phone calls for gigs. I got help, and now I want to help you. So, let's talk about breathing first. Let's talk about breath, baby. Let's talk about... I feel like the finger pointing kind of ruined that, didn't it? Anyway, consistency in breath pressure is absolutely key and fundamental to singing a note beautifully. Any note, not just a sustained one. I'm going to show you an exercise that is absolutely key to helping you find good, consistent breath pressure throughout the entirety of a phrase. It's called the lip trill. Look at that. Fancy production value. Think I might be looking at the wrong camera? No, I wasn't looking at the wrong camera. I nailed it. So I went over this in more detail in another video, link to that in the description down below, but for our purposes, this is the lip trill. You're gonna put your lips together, you're just gonna blow out and make a little fart sound. It's easy enough to do at first, you just... But you see at the tail end there how it kind of petered out? That's what we're gonna try to avoid. All right, so time for an example. The phrase I'm gonna be using is one from a piece of music that I'm working on, but I highly recommend that you get a piece of your own. And if you don't have a piece of your own to work on, you don't know what to work on, leave me a comment down below, or you can hit me up on my Instagram, Lesage Singing, same name, and send me a direct message, and I can help you a little bit more out there. But anyway, back to the phrase. Okay, that's the phrase that I'm working on. And I'll tell you what, I'm not even going to sing the words. I'm not. Because we have to work on two things. We have to work on vowels, and we have to work on breath. So I'm just going to focus on the breath. Now the question I have for myself, I'm going to stop. Before I do it again, right? I'm going to stop. And I'm going to ask myself, was that comfortable? Could that be more comfortable? What did I feel? And then I'm going to go back and think about the goal of the exercise. Was it consistent? Well, I kind of got a little louder on the top there, didn't I? It was, right? It got a little inconsistent. And so now that's my key. That's how I know, oh, the top is using too much air. It's really important to view your practice session almost like a science experiment. Listen, if you knew how to sing everything perfectly, you would be singing perfectly. You don't know everything. No one knows everything. And that's why it's so important that we have humility, and that when we approach a phrase in a practice session, that we stop, we're calm, we let go of the ego, we don't look for success, we try to observe what's happening. So, I already saw what was happening, right? I had too much breath pressure at the top. Okay, now there's a couple different ways to handle that, but I'm just going to show you one. I'm going to take in less air on the inhale. All right, so that was better. There were still changes in the breath pressure, but that felt a lot more comfortable. I could do that a couple more times, and again, pausing and observing, And then maybe if I get mentally tired and I start not focusing, then I just take a break. And that's how you're going to practice this. It is not enough to know a bunch of exercises. You're going to have to practice, and you're going to have to practice intelligently. Okay, so breath, that's important. But just as important are vowels. So real quick, voice teachers use a lot of different words for the same thing. If you've heard vocal tract and you've heard the word placement, vowels are those things for the most part. The vocal tract kind of involves a little bit more, but by focusing on vowels and breath, you're going to take care of 95% of what you need to take care of. Later on, we might get into the vocal tract, but for now, we're going to ignore it because for what you need to sustain a note, which is the point of this video, vowels are plenty enough, along with air. Okay, so vowels and a costume change. Vowels are so important, I actually reached out to a contact of mine who is a specialist in phoniatronics, which is the study of the voice through a medical lens. She hooks up people to electrodes and kind of just sees what happens. And what was observed was that there's a symbiotic relationship between having good breath and having good vowels. They're equally important. And because they're equally important, I'm going to show you vowel exercises that are going to help you with the phrase that you're working on for your repertoire. Before we get into E, A, A, O, U, or other, vowel sounds, the most important thing is you're going to want the optimal tongue position. Now, I don't want you thinking when you're singing, oh, I have to do this and I have to do this. That's not ever how we want to do things. We want to make art. We don't want to sing and think, I'm doing this with my voice right now. We want to take that part of that and put it in our practice session and then account for trying to sing naturally through a process of trial, observation, and correction. Okay, so I want you to imagine this arm right here is my tongue. We'll make this work. Okay, so if it's far back and kind of shoved in the back of the throat, we're really killing our sound. Keep in mind, the vocal folds are in the larynx right here. This image that I have to this is my left, I guess on the video it's my right, but that image is going to be our kind of reference point. Let's pretend the vocal folds are underneath this, okay? This isn't exact science. I'm not trying to be a scientist because I'm a voice teacher. What I'm trying to explain are concepts that will help you to sing. So just put that asterisk next to this really weird anatomy lesson. So if this goes farther back this way and kind of shoves and bunches up, what we're doing is we're blocking the sound, okay? It'd be like, if for those who do audio recording, it'd be like putting in the equalizer and just shutting off half of the sound, otherwise known as a low-pass filter, right? You're just cutting off frequencies. And there are also some other consequences that just make it difficult to sing. And so what we're going to do is this. Instead of bunching up the tongue right at the base of the throat here, we're going to move it so that it's forward, but it's also wide, because keep in mind, two dimensions to this. There's this, and then there's this. And if you bunch it up and get that, all that mass is going to go down. So we want it to be wide and light and forward. Important. Now, to do that, we're going to do two things even before we start to sing, okay? We're going to do the it's going to be N-G. Feel where your tongue is. Don't even make the sound, just feel where your tongue is when you do I want you to feel relaxed, and as you relax, not like I don't want you to try and relax, I just want you to take a moment, chill out, and just doing an NG. Simple. What you're going to notice is that the tongue goes wide and sits there on its own, okay? when you're comfortable, when you're relaxed, when you're not trying to accomplish anything, your tongue is in the right position. So now we're going to take that and we're going to apply it to singing by singing the phrase from the piece of music that we selected and singing the entire phrase on an NG sound. But first, another costume change. So I might be a little timid right now because I'm recording this at very late o'clock. Because, you know, I got that quarantine bedtime. But I felt pretty good about that. The tongue was wide and the tongue was forward. I'm feeling, it felt easy. You know what I mean? I took what I learned from the breathing exercise before. My air was consistent, but it wasn't too much at the top. I took a smaller inhale, and yes, it's been several hours since I last did that breathing exercise, but that's the beauty of practicing and taking the time to observe, is that you're going to remember these details when you take breaks and when you practice thoroughly. So, vowels. Awesome. So that brings us to the last point, which is the combination of the two. The way to practice both breath and vowels together is called the tongue trill. It's a great 2-in-1 exercise. Kills two birds with one stone, if you will. And again, I covered this in my breathing video down below. It's very simple, kind of like the lip trill, but even better. You're gonna stick your tongue out like you would with the NG. So you want it wide and you want it forward. Don't go ah like you would for the doctor. Go put your lips on top of the tongue. The distinct advantage of this exercise is that anytime you try to develop tongue tension, you're going to notice something happen in this exercise whenever you record it. Just try it with me for a second. First, you're going to stick your tongue out, and you're going to have a loose tongue, and you're going to make a fart sound. But now, try and stiffen the tongue and see what happens. You're not farting. My friends, in this exercise, flatulence is the key to victory. I mean, jokes aside though, it's actually a really great tell. Tongue tension can kill a lot of singers, particularly when you get to the top. You can't have it. This immediately solves it. When something is in motion, it cannot be locked up, right? So if you have tongue tension and you have to keep it moving throughout the exercise, this is a wonderful exercise. And similarly to the lip trill, you want this consistency, right? So I can't have, right? I can't have that splat at the top that I was having before. I have to keep in mind what's going to happen on the top here, right? So oof. That is what I call spill. Don't do this exercise in the wind. Anyway, we've covered the lip trill to discover consistency of breath and how important that is in a phrase. We covered the NG exercise, which gives us an impression of the optimal tongue position before we even get into vowels. And then we discovered the combination of the two we can check by using the tongue trill. These are all great exercises to have in your arsenal whenever you need to problem solve something. If you found this video helpful, feel free to subscribe. And if you didn't find it helpful, or maybe you have a different question, ask me. You can hit me up on my Instagram at Lesage Singing, same name as the YouTube channel without a space. And you can find me on there. Send me a direct message. I am free. I have a lot of time on my hands, as do many of us right now. And yeah, leave something in the comments if you don't want to do that. I am here to help. And until next time, happy singing.